Today, to whoever that viewing this video, our topic of discussion is the right to bear arms is a necessary constitution amendment. But first, please allow me to introduce our member in favor to this debate. First, I will start with Lydia, Lily, Gloriana, and Abangdin. And for the team to oppose this argument, I will start with Sunil, Jatul, Faiza, and Kelvin. And I'm your moderator today, Eugene. Okay, before we start, you proceed with your debate. Please let me make a brief introduction to our topic of debate. Okay, as you know, the right to bear arms is a necessary constitutional amendment. This amendment is based on U.S. We refer to the U.S. Constitution. It mentioned that a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. However, as you can see, this amendments was pretty outdated. It was passed by the Congress in 1789. The purpose of amending this amendment is to protect the nation, but do you think that such amendments will still apply in the modern world? Please make your argument.
The founding fathers and the original colonies care so much about the specific right to own a gun that they include in the Bill of Rights. The Supreme Court, our nation's ultimate arbiter, has repeatedly come to the conclusion that the Second Amendment protects this fundamental right of gun ownership. This means that our nation's foundational law specifically prevented the government from limiting our right to own guns. I agree to the Second Amendment of Constitutions, which is the right to own gun for individual. It is because of the philosophy of freedom. As human beings, we crave for freedom. In America, the citizens believe in the principle of the Declaration of Independence, which are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. They are the basis of the creation of our nation, but also the values we espouse as universal. So, fundamentally, if my specific decisions do not infringe on anyone else's specific abilities to live, be free, or pursue their own goal and property, then why should you or the government have a say in my actions? More pointedly, why should the government have a say in whether I lawfully own or using a gun? It's just a thing that I can have, like a car or knife. Any one of those can be dangerous. And cars kill as many people as guns do. And gun owners associate the rights to own guns with their own personal sense of freedom. Roughly 74% say that this right is essential.
So what you're saying is, in the perspective of the Constitution, you are saying that constitutions protect your freedom. But in my point of view, it doesn't. Because whenever there's a debate on the gun rights versus the gun control, the constitutions always get into the way. And the worst part is it ends the conversation. Because the so-called gun rights supporters like you guys always state the word like, so bad, it's in the constitution. And then the debate is really stopped. So, what I'm telling is, let me ask you a question, okay? Is the gun really guard you against all of your problems? Is the gun making the nation peaceful or the world a better place? So there's a lot of questions that you can't answer of. So hence there's a lot of reason to limit the guns and to have them. Maybe taking the guns away is taking your freedom away. But the guarantee of liberty is not the amendment, but it's the thing that which outline the procedure of the amendment. Like for example, in US, when it's come to a debate on gun rights and gun control, please don't focus on the Second Amendment. We should focus on the Article 5, which is outline the procedure of the amendment. Like the Article 5 is whenever in the Congress there's a 2/3 of the both houses thinks a thing is necessary, they will propose an amendment to the Constitution, like they did in 1791. That is a Second Amendment of US. So what I'm saying is, the founding fathers, what they meant is not what they meant is different today. We don't have religion anymore, and our constitutions should say is nothing. Because if you believe that your constitution could prevent the threats and save lives and give you a lot of freedom, go for it. Demand the rights. But if you think about and consider about the lives of the life loss of the people in the murders, suicides, and also accidents, you should recheck your statement. So the constitution should be silent, because there's a lot of things we should talk about and put into the debate of the guns. So please don't interfere your statement with the Second Amendment thing. So I think we should take other things into the account too.
Okay, I would like to agree a little bit, but I would also like to oppose to your point, because let's talk about our main topic. It does concern about the Second Amendment and the necessity of it. So I would like to once again justify that we agree to the Second Amendment, and we like to stay that way by justifying that the rights to bear arms is indeed necessary. And when we talk about government and the Constitution, we talk about the people and their trust issues toward the government itself. When we talk about trust issues, we talk about how do we even trust the government to protect us, and do they even protect us in order to save us or in order to just save the national interests. And I believe that throughout all my research towards this and why Americans do not trust their government. Let's see in the past history where President Nixon came into the frame, and of course the stagflation that happened in the US country. So in addition, we can, following towards the 9/11 incident, as well as in the modern world like this, the technology is everywhere, mass medias, annual parade governments, frustrations, and all of these factors eroded the faith in the U.S. government. And when we follow in a contemporary issues era right now, well, Trump himself, his administration is quite ambiguous the way he talks, and we could not predict so easily to his administration. And once again, I would like to say that the Second Amendment is still necessary, and bearing guns to protect ourselves is indeed one of those factors of why we should own a gun.
I'm sorry, I think I'm gonna disagree with you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, guns aren't always the solution, aren't always the answer. I feel that people should not have the rights to be armed. Why? It doesn't matter if they are fallen or not. All it takes is someone to be upset and get angry, then they can retaliate, especially in today's society. The smallest thing on social media makes somebody angry or upset. If people could carry a gun or weapons everywhere they go, and then the person who is offended and could easily kill the person that they think that is gonna harm them. So I understand that it's for our protection, but people could easily harm people. It's basically you feel threatened, and then you just like, for your self-protection, and then you just kill everyone. Did you think this is makes sense? No, I don't think so. Let's taking home as an example, like if your mother scolds you or beats you or anything, and then you think that I'm gonna protect myself, and I shoot her. This makes sense? No, madness. This is madness. And for one thing, though I admit guns are necessary under certain circumstances, but I disagree that people should bear arms as soon as we start passing around as what stated by Murphy Law, make it clear that something will go wrong as we bear arms, as it will cause chaos and people killing each other. That's my point of view.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, defending ourselves is a subjective thing. Self-defense can occur in many situations, among which is when we are attacked by a criminal. We have to defend ourselves as liberate from criminal. When life is threatened, we can use whatever way to fight criminals, like reply by injuring them or killing back. And then, for example, martial arts experts can counter back all attacks that criminals have committed. For example, Donnie Yen used his what we call wushu to counter back certain point of fighting criminal. Fighting criminal is a way to secure the safety of yourself. Within the law, every human has the right to protect yourself and others. Defending themselves is not breaking the law in the world. Self-defense is necessary if someone is in danger. Saving yourself is necessary. Whatever means can make your life safe, you can do, even life-threatening the criminal. In European country, most country allow license for his people to carry firearms. This suggests that the use of this firearm can make one's life safer. The use of strictly controlled firearm is a wise move to ensure the safety of our nation. Every individual with a license, firearm controlled and monitored by authorities in order to avoid an accident. Lastly, the use of controlled firearm is one of the good ways to ensure these criminals are not free to commit crimes. Criminals will be more careful to commit crime despite minor crime. Indirectly, the crime rate will be much lower than before.
So
Thank
I
you.
would like to add on the statement.
Yeah.
It's like the Gun Control Act of 1968 does prohibit person under 18 years old or convicted criminal, the mentally disabled, and dishonorable, discharged military personnel and others from purchasing firearms. So in 1993 also, the Brady Handgun Violence Prevention Act mandated background check first for all unlicensed persons purchasing a firearm from a federally authorized leader. So doesn't background doesn't necessarily means that you can prevent crime. And then the location with the highest gun crime volumes tend to be the city that prevent gun ownership altogether, like Chicago and New York. So similarly, the cities that have the highest gun crime rates per capita also frequently have the stringent gun control, such as Detroit country. And then, so international gun control laws are not predictive of lower crime rates.
So, if everyone or everybody is carrying a gun with them, I believe it will only make things worse, as there are acts of violence will happen all the time. Did you think it's for the safety of the citizen? No, I don't think so, because like people killing each other. I think, yeah, people should not.
Can I rephrase back what you said just now?
Yeah,
You said people killing each other with guns.
yeah.
I would like to say that you shouldn't blame on the gun, and you should blame on the people instead. And I would like to say that in December 14th of 2012, which is the same day as the Sandy Hook shooting in the United States, and this happens in central China. A man stabbed 22 children and one adult with just a knife. So the main weapon is a knife, not a gun. I think what I'm trying to say is, gun is not the only mechanism for mass murder.
Saying that a gun is a means of self-defense, I have to disagree because in my opinion, guns are used to threaten and intimidate far more often than they are used in self-defense. I would like to emphasize on the Second Amendment again of the United States Constitution, which reads, "A well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed." In my viewpoint, the Constitution, I strongly disagree to this to the Second Amendment, as it needs to be repealed because it is outdated and a threat to security and a suicide pact. When the Second Amendment was adopted in 1791, there were no weapons such as like AR-15 assault rifles and or other many modern weaponry are long invented and popularized. But nowadays, a lot of these arms have been invented and can be accessed in the market, which can pose threats to the liberty and security. With an AR-15 or rifle assault can fire around 50 to 60 rounds a minute. There's a case where alleged gunman James Holmes committed a large massacre in the history of United States in 2015 using a legally purchased weapon, an AR-15 assault rifle, a 12-gauge shotgun, a 2-Glock pistol, which have caused a large massacre. This have shown proof that the right to bear arms has caused a lot of loss of lives and therefore is a threat towards people's security. And perhaps the most prevalent factor of the gun prohibition is that a person with a gun is 43 times more likely to kill the person in their own house rather than to shoot a criminal. This stress on the idea that firearms are likely to kill someone in your own family than to be used to kill someone for self-defense. This 43-to-1 ratio have been proven in a study of firearm deaths in Seattle homes conducted by an academic Dr. Arthur L. Kellerman. Not just talking about massacre, a case where a man shot his neighbor over a barking dogs. Now that so many people have carry weapons, incidents can occur. Shooting incidents seems to occur everywhere, including very common road. There's also a case where a man shot another driver in the knee during a roadway confrontation, just because another driver cut off the lanes. The gun doesn't seem to protect anyone. They turn ordinary altercations into murderous exchange of fire. They brought threats that cause wounds and also death. There is a strong need for self-defense, but a gun seems to cause a lot of death. But we can opt for something like martial arts that can cause less loss of life, and have, as mentioned by the opponent, she mentioned about using a knife that as a weapon of mass murder. But how many cases are involving with knives, and I believe that there are more cases with guns rather than with knives. So I strongly disagree with the Second Amendment.
Yeah, I agree with Joatur's point of view. If people are carrying guns everywhere, that costs our nation more money. Need more money to produce gun, and then we will need higher security because we need to watch everybody to making sure they have good intention, right?
Yeah, I agree that from the opposing team saying that having more guns will jeopardize the welfare of the civilians. But I also wanted to state that having guns could contribute to the economy, which also means taking care of the civilians. For example, the US having a difficult times in the economy, and there was increase in unemployment rate in the US. But since the firearms and ammunition industry has growing, it has created 30,000 well employment among the US citizens. Not only that, when the guns are sold, that when the taxes are collected, the taxes are used to preserve the wildlife conservation funding in America.
So is that you said that the gun industry decreased the rate of unemployment in the States, right? But I disagree with that because let me ask you guys first. What is the use of the having gun besides war and crime? Is it just because the economic itself or just for the self-protection? And if that's so, means that everyone have the right to have a gun, to carry the gun, and to buy the gun illegally. Even the child at the age of 12 can also carry the gun, right? And thus the growth of economy is more important than safety of citizens. Because if legalizing the economy is more important than the morality, then there is no problem to legalize drugs, weeds, and even human trafficking too, because it also enhances the economy. I'm sure there's so many other ways to enhance the economy, such as besides the gun industry. But I think that banning gun industry would make communities safer because there are better ways to defend yourself, as Jatu suggested earlier, the martial art. And as the opponent said just now, there is no problem to carry the gun, but the problem is the people itself, right? But of course, people can still commit the crime without having the gun. But having a gun wouldn't make things better. So I think it's better to prevent before things get any worse.
With all due respect, I would like to oppose to your statement.
Yeah.
Because when we're talking about legality, we can talk about accessibility or availability. Where do they get the guns? They get it from the black market. They get it from all the legal suppliers, and even legal suppliers. If we were to bribe them, give them more money, they will give us guns. And license, yeah, we talk about license, we can actually get it easily.
But we can also minimize the people who get the license.
I think
Yeah.
I get your point.
Yeah.
But when we talk about minimizing those gun ownership, do you know how much does the guns in America? Well, to be precise, there are about 325 million guns in America. And to talk about minimizing it is another factor. If we can use the Australian way of taking all those legal weapons, especially the dangerous one, the AK-47, those kind of things, and they could, there's a case, I would like to state an example. There was a case where this psychotic man, yes, he was using a gun, and he killed a group of tribe of Tanzanians. And due to his action, the Australian government restricted the guns and take all away the guns in order to minimize the gun. But at the same time, where does the gun goes? Their intention for collecting all the guns was to destroy it. But we can see some cases in this real world as a realist. These guns some of them were even transmitted to the black market. And of course, that will lead to more gun ownership because of people purchasing the same thing. And when it flows to the black market, the availability of this gun, you can have it anywhere. Plus, minimizing this gun ownership, it takes a long time. Might as well just give it to the Americans for their own safekeeping. Because Americans instead, they can take this gun, they can use this gun in order to, again, protect mechanism, protect themselves, or even protect their nation as a whole. What if their armies failed to do so? this in this context, I mean, not fail to protect their country. They can be an extra help to protect their country. These people who are professional, who has the skill of defending them, can be used as defending those threats, external threats in the country. And to add, well, justifying that you also said about morality. Well, my dear, when we talk about morality, we also talk about power in the context. But at actual fact, when I mention about national interest, there are also sacrifices that were needed in order to, well, what I said just now is in order to protect the citizens or make the state great again, as
Okay.
Donald Trump said. Okay,
Time's up.
please.
Let me conclude your points first. Should freedom is a kind of protection or destruction to a nation? And if the weak government is the root of the problem, is there any way to solve such root? Then except in enforcement by the police, soldiers, is there an alternative for people to protect themselves? And the accessibility of gun is Second Amendment really matters in this case. Could you please conclude your point? We start with the opposition.
So in our point regarding the gun rights matter, but protecting the rights carries the cost. And what the cost that I'm talking is taking the account of the lives of the civilians. So we must think of the rights. At the same time, we also need to think of the safety of the civilians. So changing the constitution straight away is not possible, since the people are already in tune with it for the ages. Still the gun culture prevail in most of the places, so do the rights to the arms. But we must take an initiatives to get a good solution that willing to pay those costs. So that's all. Thank you.
To conclude, I would like to say that we agree to the Second Amendment, and we think that it is necessary to bear arms. To quote that the late Senator Howard Metzenbaum would say that if you don't ban all guns, you might as well ban none of them. And the Second Amendment, which grants the citizens the right to secure these natural rights, is the backbone of our, in this context, United States democratic society.
Okay. My conclusion would be, I think that freedom once given cannot be taken away, especially in US. Could you really say US a weak government? I think that US is a better government compared with many nations, but of course it's a matter of subjectivity. Is there an alternative for people to protect themselves? A gun or knife? Which one is better for you to protect yourself? Do you have the time to hold? Which one would you prefer? A gun or a knife to protect yourself when there's a threat coming? Could you hold off before the police arrive? However, I don't think so that all nations have the rights to. The people of all nations in the world have the rights to bear arms because of mentality. Unfortunately, I don't think so. All the nations' human development level is the same, which defines the mentality of the people. It's very unfortunate that most of the third world countries, they have a very low human development level due to their poor education level, and thus contributing to the motive of killing, brutality, barbarism, this and that. So I would conclude that U.S. Second Amendment shouldn't be abolished, but however, it must follow with a very strong surveillance system to control their arms. Not removing the freedom, but to control the distribution of arms. And for other countries, it might be a matter of subjectivity whether they want to follow US as an example to enforce such amendments. Okay, the debate is concluded. Thank you.
Yeah.